Exactly, yeah. So it's a bit
It's so
difficult.
catchy. I want to introduce the video. I want to say hi. Thank
Yeah,
you for
do
having
it.
yeah.
Yeah, do
Thanks for
it if you.
having me on Heavy Spoilers. You're my host, Paul. Today we're going to be interviewing me.
Yeah. Well, I just want to
You're
say
my
sorry about your mum first and
yeah,
foremost. That was a pretty big part of the season. And that was like
yeah.
the first episode I watched. Yeah. I was just chilling out. It was like they're going to ease us in. Nice, easy first episode. And by the end, they're like literally just ripping her apart and focusing on Harold, well, Boyd for quite a while. How was that to read when you saw that?
We had a feeling that that was going to happen. There was whispers
Yeah.
amongst the cast. We had a feeling that that was going to happen because we don't know what comes up. But when I finally had read it and it kind of confirmed it, it was kind of like a, oh, here we go. It's like, okay, here we
Yeah.
go. And Elizabeth Moy, who plays Tian Chen, is just such a sweet, lovely woman. That it was like, oh, like this is terrible that this is happening to her, but then you take a step back and you realize like, oh, this is kind of like the most perfect death for this season and for this show.
Yeah, it lets you know straight away just how serious things are going to be. And obviously,
Yeah.
when reading the script, you have the death of your mother, which is quite a big thing on her part, but then you've got to be the person who has to really bring across the emotion of that. So the first question, well, two questions. Firstly, what was your reaction after learning that was happening and when you were reading
Mhm.
it? And two, what did you think was the most important thing to portray Kenny was going to go through this season?
Well, my initial reaction, I like posted it on my Instagram. Like I took a picture basically right after I read it because I was just a mess, just like a puddle. And I think I sent John that photo to basically say like fuck you, like
Yeah.
to John Griffin, the writer. And I was like, yeah, it was just like heartbreaking. And it kind of cut a little different than how it was written, but it still made it. But it was like after you read the sequence where she's getting torn apart piece by piece, then it goes to the scene where Kenny wakes up and he's at the lake, and then Jim throws in the cabbage and he catches and then it's I think it says in the text it says and then Kenny smiles a smile that or it's like makes a big smile, and that's the smile that breaks our heart. I'm like, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, it's he's kind of oblivious to everything because he's out in the wilderness, and that's kind of how the audience almost feel in some ways. We're kind of oblivious and happy sometimes, and obviously you guys, when you're filming, you guys are knowing it all, and we're sat here like, what the hell is going on? But I do
Yeah.
quite like the arc that Kenny's gone on through this season. And towards the end, we kind of see him start to come back around to the idea of, protecting the town in a more official capacity. In the
Mhm.
finale, obviously, we see Boyd step over the line and carry out torture. Going forward, how do you think that's going to operate? Because, you've got Acosta, you've got Kenny, and they kind of work within the law that of civilization.
Yeah.
How do you feel things are going to go with with Boyd going forward?
That's a good question too, because we don't really know the aftermath yet of Boyd's actions, right? The town still doesn't know what Fatima has done. And then I don't know to what extent the town will find out about Elgin's, interrogation, because obviously everyone will be curious because you can see he looks visibly messed up. But Harold has said since the introduction of Sam's character that like Acosta that he's like, I think you guys are going to take over the town. Like that's what
Yeah.
his own kind of feeling is. And I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me if it becomes like kind of like a ceremonious, like he's stepping down because he knows like maybe this is best for the town. And Kenny and Acosta kind of have to take over. But I feel like he's always going to be a little bit of the consigliere on the
Hmm.
side,
I like that term.
to advise the town. I've said before that the joke is kind of like I'm Kenny is like Boyd's Robin, right? He's Batman.
Yeah.
Kenny's the boy wonder. He's all optimistic and like eager and a little bit
Yeah.
stupid. He's a little dumb looking. And Boyd represents like the serious, the trauma, the grief, and like the intensity. I think to some degree, Kenny's getting pushed closer and closer to becoming like his going into like his Nightwing era.
Right.
So
Yeah. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
if he rises to the occasion, depending on what the writers whip up, I think that that's kind of the feeling. Like I can't see him stepping into his own and taking over for Boyd. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my next question was going to be, I actually basically saying what you just said in that I think Kenny will become the sheriff and Acosta will become his deputy. Is there any advice as a sheriff you think Kenny could give Acosta now you're in your Nightwing era?
In the Nightwing era, he would say
Get a
to
mullet.
Costa, yeah, get him. Yeah. Want to fit in? You want to fit into the
Yeah.
culture, which is he's kind of some of the scenes got again kind of cut out or jumbled up, but in the scripts, Kenny actually has interacted with Acosta more than what has ended up making in the final cut. They just need to shave it down for time because we have so much we're trying to do. Even in the interactions that we've seen, like Kenny's main thing with Acosta is kind of talking her off the edge a little bit. Like, just, you have to understand how things work here. Let's just take a step back.
Got an itchy trigger finger. She'll shoot anyone.
Yeah. So the inside scoop is there was a scene originally at the end of episode 5 or 6, whichever the episode it was, that Kenny asks Donna to move up to Colony House. So he goes up to he's moved up to Colony House, and the episode kind of ends on a scene where Kenny's like in the Colony House bedroom now. He's like settling in. He's moved his stuff in, and then in the hallway, Acosta walks by and she's like, "Hey, you're Kenny, right? I saw you at the meeting. We didn't get to chat. My name is Danny Acosta, Danny." And Kenny looks at her and he goes, "Oh yeah, you're the one who shot Nikki." And that's what, which I thought was a great scene. There was like this weird, maybe I'm projecting. There was like this weird, funny chemistry. Sexual tension is too strong of a word, but there was a
Yeah.
little, and she's kind of like, "Oh." And then Kenny actually says the same line where it's like, "Oh, they have a lot of clothes up here if you want to change." And I wonder if they cut that out because I say it again in the diner scene.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
and then it really becomes a thing of like, "Yo, Kenny, why are you trying to get her to change her clothes so
Yeah, in
frequently?"
front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, in front of you.
You're
Yeah,
wearing that uniform as well. She wears that all the
yeah,
time. That's kind of like a signature thing.
yeah.
But
That's her.
yeah,
That's her thing.
I was going to ask about the romance as well because I've kind of put these two characters together, and obviously Kenny's single now in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
land of From. So yeah, I was
yeah.
thinking maybe they could go that direction with it.
Well, I've also seen people ship Boyd and Acosta. I mean, who knows where the writers go with this? Who knows?
Yeah, and
Um,
everyone's getting reincarnated as well. So you could show up and you get who you want. So that's the
yeah.
next thing I want to talk about. So
Uh-huh.
what is going on with the show? We've just finished the last episode. What's going on? Who's the guy in the yellow suit?
John Griffin has this great story about the man in the yellow suit, and I'm sure he'll tell it during some interviews in the future. But his story of like the inspiration behind it, the truth is, I know now that everybody's all caught up with the finale, I know basically exactly as much as you guys know until we start shooting season
Well, what
4.
are we doing? Yeah, I'm wasting my time.
I know. I'm sorry. All right, thanks, guys. See you guys later.
Bye bye. So I
Yeah.
have a couple of theories, yeah. So we have a lot of parallels with characters either losing or gaining a parent. For example, Kenny
Mm,
lost his mother, but on the flip side of it, Victor regained a father. Boyd lost his wife, meaning Ellis has lost a mother as well. Julie's
mm.
just lost her father and Jim dying. And we learn that her mother might be Victor's mother reincarnated. We've
Right.
also had a monster return, and I feel like now we're in the winter that it makes sense for next season to be in the spring. And spring's all about rebirth and reincarnation, which is what we've seen in, the monsters and all the people coming back. What
Hmm.
what are your theories with that?
I like the idea of reincarnation. That's all I can say. I like the idea
Yeah.
of it. I don't know if that's exactly what's going on. I mean, it's
Oh
it's
no, that's my
clear.
theories out the window.
No, well, it's clear that Tabitha was at some point Miranda because she's experienced everything that she's experienced. And then in terms of the spring of it all, I don't know what direction they're going to take, but what I will say is if we do get renewed and we start shooting season 4, I don't believe we are returning in the winter time.
Okay. I've got it. I've got it. I've nailed it. We'll put
Yeah,
a
yeah,
tick
yeah,
next to that. And they mentioned something else in the finale about how energy can't be created or destroyed, and
yeah.
that the Einstein quote. And I was thinking, well, that's how it works. The energy gets trapped here, and it just, when people die, they come back in another way. Saying that, is there any characters who are dead that you'd like to see come back?
An easy one is like I'd love to see Father Kotri come back, but he's never really
Yeah,
kind of left. Sean Majumder
it's
just
weird that because whenever I watch like films and a character dies,
yeah,
or shows, a lot of the time they do it with seasons where they'll have a character die, but they'll appear in
yeah,
like a ghost or some way down the line. But in your
yeah,
head, mentally, you'll be like, ah, well, they died in season two and we never saw them again. And it's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of the same thing. So what is it like? Does everyone just ignore him on set?
And they're like, God, I miss him so much. He's like sitting right there.
Yeah.
No. Sean is such a funny dude, and he's like, I mean, he's like a comedian by trade. When he's around, it's like there's no chance you can ignore him.
Yeah.
There's no way you can ignore him. No, it's like it's cool that we've been able to have Sean come back year after year. But if I had to bring a character back, it'd be Alma the goat is dead. Right? No, no, they lived. The cow, bring the cow back.
Yeah, they
R.I.P.
were good.
Bessie.
Randall was gonna eat that. He was like, I'm just taking
Yeah,
it. I'm taking it. I was
yeah.
like, whoa, slow down there, yeah. He was like, no, I'm taking it.
Yeah. Or Trudy. Honestly, Trudy was a great character. I really like Trudy, played by Cynthia. Yeah, she's great.
So you've got the
Yeah.
cow, the guy
I
who's
got the
still in the
cow and I
show,
got Trudy.
and Judy. Yeah, awesome.
Speaking of Randall, we gotta shout out AJ because he's a fellow Brit,
No way. Oh,
just like me and you.
yeah. You can't tell.
You
Yeah,
can't
he's tricked me there. How long's he in makeup for? Because they've got to do that every time they do like a big score on a character. Almost like they've got to go through that every single time
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
film
yeah,
and get
yeah.
that in the exact same position.
Yeah, they're like an hour and a half earlier. But he's
Oh,
from, I asked him before we did this interview, because I want to make sure I shouted out his ends. Yeah.
okay,
Here we go.
I
Ready?
get it.
He's East Midlands represent.
All right, okay. Did he?
He's from Wellingborough, Northamptonshire.
Nice. Northamptonshire.
He said it's a
Yeah.
shithole that
Well,
he loves and represents.
yeah. It sounds like a lot like the village from. It's a shithole, but you gotta love it. You can't leave. You don't want to
You can't
leave,
leave.
really.
Yeah, you're stuck there
Yeah.
forever. Yeah.
So when you guys are now that you're filming in spring, and I've got my theory right, what was it like filming in winter? Was there anything that it was like, oh man, I'm in a cabin for 4 days and it's really cold? Or was it movie
Oh,
magic and you guys were really warm?
no, it was really cold. It was movie magic, but it was really cold. It was so cold that, like, when we were shooting some of the cabin stuff, where we're in those tiny little settlement cabins, we initially shot in the actual outdoor cabins, and it was too cold. So they ended up building one inside of the studio, and we shot some of the inside stuff there. But it was a very cold and brutal winter. I'm from Vancouver, which is like the warmest part of Canada. And so I had never
Yeah.
seen nothing like that. I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it looks so nice for like the first season, like the first two seasons. It looks so hot and everyone's kind of walking around sweating and stuff. Obviously, I'm guessing on set there's lots of theories and you're chatting between, script reading and stuff. Is there a theory that you had that turned out to be right? And is there a theory that you had that turned out to be wrong?
I said very early on after reading the pilot, and then we got to Halifax to start shooting the first couple episodes of season one. I asked John Griffin, I said, it has something to do with grief, right? Like all these characters are going through some sort of like a big life-changing moment, and everybody's kind of carrying grief. And he has this unreal poker face. He's like, dude, I don't know. And I said, oh, okay. Uh, but then I realized I'm like, oh wait, yeah, everybody's carrying grief with them all the time. That's just, human. And I think that,
That's so deep.
you I'm very deep.
Yeah, very
But
deep.
yeah, but like to kind of like go back to your previous question too about like preparing for the Tien Chen death stuff. It was like it was that because in season when we were shooting season two, I had my first baby.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember you saying
yeah,
congratulations.
yeah. Thank you, man. And along with that, we also lost a family member during that time.
No, sorry to
And
hear that.
it was like a lot of like, yeah, it was like a lot of like keeping it together, right? Being away from the family. I have this new baby, and then we just lost someone, and like trying to keep that all bottled in. And I think by the time we shot season three, I just had such a fresh, like raw, like something that's accessible in terms of grief that the preparation for that was just kind of like, well, I want to make it like truthful. I'm not here to fucking, So I think in real life, we don't open up to just all the time. You're trying to bottle it in. And so all that stuff. I don't even remember what the first question. Now I'm just rambling about nothing.
It was what's going on with the monsters?
This is me weaving as
Yeah, weaving the bob
yeah.
and weave. So what is going on with the monsters
I
though?
don't
Because I
I Paul from Heavy Spoilers, I don't know.
do
But
the people playing the monsters know? Should I speak to
yeah,
them?
they know more than we do. They
Yeah,
have the whole lore. No, I think this a theory that I saw on Reddit that I really like lately that I'm just gonna that I'm
I'm gonna
going with.
steal it as well. What's it
Yeah, yeah,
called?
yeah, 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 yeah. Ready? Is that the children, right, are
Mm.
picking their heroes. Like they're selecting heroes. Because the theory that I saw on Reddit basically was saying that everyone's kind of coming into town after some sort of an act of heroism or like a lifetime career in protecting others or saving others. Boyd's obviously ex-military, and so is his wife. Father Kotri literally beat someone to death for abusing their child. Kenny and his mom were like out searching for and retrieving his father who was lost on an episode, a dementia episode. And Sarah was presumably being saved by, like, picked up by her brother after like a domestic abuse situation. So all these kind of make me feel like, oh yeah, like maybe they're picking their champions that could potentially free them.
Yeah. They
That's kind
did
of
say
cool.
something in the finale about how the monsters sacrificed their children so that they could live forever. And
Right.
maybe this is the way to break out. I kind of feel like it's sort of all the energies of the dead kids have kind of came together, and in their dying energy they've created this town where it's kind of limbo, where they need to pull people in from the outside to help them get a certain way, and that's why they got managed to get Victor's father in some way, because that's going to help Victor become a hero. It's stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I also wonder if like to your point of like reincarnation. And again, there's no way for me to we won't be able to confirm any of this until the show's said and done. I know just as much as you guys do. But another
Yeah.
theory that I have is like it has if we believe in this idea of reincarnation within the show, that like I wonder if it has something to do with like soulmates also.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because we've all seen a lot of like the symbolism with like pairs of people kind of thing. Like, and obviously now Tabitha and Jade seems to be intrinsically tied from a previous life in some ways. It makes me curious if that's why Marielle shows up also, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe they were also soulmates in a previous life cycle. And so they both have to show up. Or so I don't know. I don't know. Or maybe it's just the town fucking with us because that's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic. Well, I love that.
Classic
And
town.
that's lots of stuff to talk about. And
Yeah.
I want to thank you as well for joining me to talk this and just go through my insane theories and stuff. I appreciate it. There's going to be lots of comments. I want you to go through each one of them and reply to every single person and go,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll just
if
do
that's
yes, no.
yeah, sorry, taking the no,
Yeah.
brilliant. Well, thanks, thanks for stopping in. And
No,
yeah, I love the show.
yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me. To all the heavy spoilers viewers, I'm right there with you. Uh, welcome to the Heavy
Cool. Well,
Spoiler Show. You're my host, Paul,
mm,
and this week we're gonna be pooping on the potty.
okay. It will be twice with the kids.
Yeah, yeah,
It's my most mature intro yet.
yeah.